Once upon a time, in a quiet little village nestled right at the edge of a deep, green forest, there lived a brother and sister named Hansel and Gretel. They were always cheerful, incredibly brave, and most importantly, they always took care of each other. Their father was a kind woodcutter who worked tirelessly, but the family was very poor, and some days, there just wasn't enough food to go around. One cold evening, with the wind howling outside their tiny cottage, their stepmother whispered harshly to their father, "We have nothing left to eat. Tomorrow, Hansel and Gretel must go into the forest and find food for themselves." Their father sighed, his heart heavy. He loved his children dearly, but felt he had no other choice. But Hansel, who was very clever, overheard their entire plan. Late that night, he snuck outside and filled his pockets with smooth, white pebbles that shimmered under the moonlight. He whispered to his sister, "Don't worry, Gretel. I'll make sure we can find our way back home." Gretel smiled sleepily, trusting her brother completely. The very next morning, their stepmother gave them each a small piece of bread and sent them off toward the forest. As they walked, Hansel secretly dropped the little pebbles one by one along the path. The forest was beautiful, filled with towering trees, singing birds, and golden sunlight dancing on the leaves. They played and laughed, picking wild berries, until the sun began to set. When they looked around, their stepmother was gone, and they were all alone. Gretel's eyes filled with tears. "Hansel, how will we ever get home?" But Hansel just pointed to the ground, a confident smile on his face. "Don't cry, Gretel. Look, the pebbles are shining in the moonlight. We can follow them all the way back." And so, step by step, the glowing stones led them safely through the dark woods and back to their cottage. Their father hugged them tightly, his eyes filled with tears of joy, while their stepmother just frowned in silence. A few days later, the stepmother, still determined, sent them deep into the woods again. This time, Hansel had no chance to gather pebbles. Instead, he tore a small piece of bread into tiny crumbs and dropped them along the way. But when night fell and the children tried to return, they discovered the crumbs were gone, eaten by hungry birds. Now, they were truly lost. Hansel held Gretel's hand tightly as they wandered deeper and deeper into the forest. They were tired, hungry, and very scared. Just as Gretel began to cry, a wonderfully sweet smell filled the air, the smell of warm sugar and honey. They followed the scent until they stumbled upon something amazing, a little house made entirely of candy. Its roof was made of rich chocolate, the windows of sparkling sugar glass, and the fence was lined with colorful candy canes. Gretel gasped, "Hansel, look, it's a house made of sweets." Without a second thought, the two hungry children began to nibble carefully at the delicious walls. Just then, the door creaked open, and an old woman with kind eyes appeared. "Hello, my dear children," she said gently. "You look so hungry. Please, come inside and eat." The children smiled and happily stepped in, not knowing that the kind old woman was really a wicked witch. The moment they were inside, the witch locked Hansel in a small cage and forced Gretel to work in the kitchen. "I'll feed him until he's plump and fat," she cackled, "and then I'll eat him for my supper." But Hansel was still clever. Every day when the witch came to check on him, he held out a thin chicken bone instead of his finger. Her eyesight was poor, so she was fooled into thinking he was still too skinny. Days turned into weeks, until finally, the witch grew impatient. "Enough waiting," she shrieked. "Today's the day." She ordered Gretel to heat the oven until it was roaring hot. When the witch bent down to check if it was ready, Gretel saw her chance. "Now," she shouted, and with all her might, she pushed the witch right into the oven. She slammed the door shut and the witch was gone forever. Gretel quickly freed Hansel, and together they ran from the candy house. But before they left, they found a chest filled to the brim with gold and precious jewels. They carried it with them, following the sound of the birds and the glow of the sun through the trees, which guided them home. Their father was overjoyed to see them again. With the treasure they brought back, they lived happily and never went hungry again. And from that day on, Hansel and Gretel learned that courage, clever thinking, and love for one another can guide you safely home no matter how dark or scary the forest may seem. Thanks for watching our story today. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more amazing tales. See you next time.